The following program is part of Cable in the Classroom, a free service of the cable telecommunications industry and your local cable company.
Hi, I'm Brian Kenny. You're watching ESPN Sports Figures, the show that teams up sports with science. First up, yo-yo champ Augie Fash gives our Marissa Copeland a crash course in yo-yology.
Wind it up without the string attached, and then you're going to throw it forward into your index finger, let it fly in the air, and catch it on the string. And then you're going to grab the other string segment with your other hand. This allows you to switch hands, manipulate both the counterweight and the yo-yo. You can cross the strings, throw the yo straight in the air. To start that, you just want to attach a small weight on the end of the string, like sports figures. Put your brain in the game.
Do you know what the oldest toy in the world is? But do you know what the second oldest is? The yo-yo. For as long as there's been history, there have been yo-yos. The yo-yo really took off in America back in the 1950s. Back then, it looked like this. Nowadays, it looks like this. Yo-yos and yo-yoing have gotten so advanced, I'm not sure you can call it a toy anymore. That's Augie Fash. He's the 2004 National Yo-Yo Champion. He's also a member of Bird and Hand Yo-Yo Club and Spin Doctors Yo-Yo Club, and he's on Team Yo-Yo Factory. And he's going to help us work on our Yo-Yology. Hey, Augie, what are the name of some of those cool tricks you were doing?
Tricks like cold fusion, black hops, iron whip, Eli hop.
So for all these cool tricks, you want the yo-yo to stay out as long as possible, to sleep?
Yeah, definitely. So the yo-yo is spinning inside the bottom of a twisted loop of string, and you just want to be able to hang there as long as possible so you can do more tricks.
Yo-yoers have gotten better and better, but the yo-yo itself has evolved into a pretty high-tech piece of equipment. So, how do you make a better yo-yo? First, you have to know how a yo-yo works. You got some string, you got 2 discs, and a spindle. And that's it. It's simple, but ingenious. When I hold the yo-yo up like this, it has gravitational potential energy, or energy of position. That's because it has the potential to fall. When I drop the yo-yo without winding the string, the force of gravity, mg, or the weight of the yo-yo, is now pulling the yo-yo down. Because of the law of conservation of energy, we know that all of the GPE will be converted to kinetic energy, KE. And as it gains more and more kinetic energy, it falls faster and faster. You can see that in the equation for KE. 1/2 mass times velocity squared. The greater the energy, the greater the speed. When it reaches the end of the string, you feel a tug. That tug stops the KE. You actually feel the change in kinetic energy. That's not much fun, right? I mean, you got yo, but no yo. Everyone knows you have to wind the string. It still has GPE up here and KE as gravity accelerates it down. The string spins the yo-yo. Look, it doesn't fall nearly as fast as it did before. That means there is less KE. You hardly feel any tug at all. Where'd the KE go? The law of conservation of energy tells us that all the GPE must be transferred. There's gravity pulling down, but there's also the string pulling against gravity with tension. We'll call that T. Okay, guys, all we did was add tension. Why would that give us a spin when gravity didn't?
Well, gravity's pulling down the center of the mass, whereas tension is an off-center force.
But the string is pulling on the spindle, which is in the center of the yo-yo.
You can see that the string is pulling on the outside, not in the center. It's off-center.
Oh, and what do we call an off-center force?
Torque.
Torque! Because torque rotates the yo-yo, we can use a curved vector arrow to show clockwise or counterclockwise spin. There are two force vectors at work on the yo-yo, gravity and tension from the string, but only one is providing a torque, the tension. The yo-yo has a net force that is a combination of down and to spin. So some of the translational KE is given over to rotational KE. So now all the GPE is accounted for. So Augie, what's going on when the yo-yo climbs back up the string?
The string reverses the velocity of the yo-yo. As the yo-yo climbs, the translational and rotational kinetic energy transfer back to GPE.
We got the yo and the yo. To make a better yo-yo, we got to be able to make it sleep longer.
The more rotational kinetic energy it has, the longer it'll sleep.
All right, so how do we get more RKE?
I don't know.
Well, let's start by looking at the equation for RKE. Before, we saw that KE was 1/2 mass times velocity squared. For RKE, the M, mass, gets replaced by I, rotational inertia, or moment of inertia, and V, velocity, gets replaced by omega, angular velocity, or how fast it's spinning. To give it more energy, we can increase rotational inertia, or angular velocity, or both. Angular velocity is pretty clear. You just get it spinning faster and faster. But what about rotational inertia? We all know that when an object's heavy, it's really hard to push. And once it gets going, it's really hard to stop. That's because the object has inertia. Inertia just means that when something's sitting, it wants to keep sitting, and when it's moving, it wants to keep moving. And an object's inertia is measured in kilograms. Grady here has a mass of 65 kilograms. That's his inertia. Whew. There's a number for rotational inertia, too. How hard it is to spin and how hard it is to stop once they're spinning. Rotational inertia, that's the I in our equation. So how do we increase I? To increase linear inertia, you just add mass. To increase rotational inertia, we can increase the mass. We can also change the distribution of the mass. More mass to the outside gives us greater rotational inertia. Robbie's really harder to spin now. He's also harder to stop spinning. To find inertia for different objects, we can use different formulas. The one we can use for the yo-yo is 1/2 mass times radius squared. Mass and radius. Increase either one or both, and we increase I. Bigger I, more RKE, longer tricks. Whew. We could increase mass by making a super heavy yo-yo out of lead. Oh. Or maybe not. Or we could change the shape to increase the radius of the mass we have. Just move the mass farther from the center of rotation. Woo! We know if we drop two objects at different weights, they hit the ground at the same time. Okay, guys, but what about spinning objects? These two wheels weigh the same. They have the same mass, but we put some weights here at the axle and some weights there at the rim. So if we roll them down the hill, which one do you think will hit bottom first?
It seems like they should tie. They have the same mass.
Well, even if they had different masses, they should still tie, just like you said.
Okay, let's see. Not exactly what we expected, right? That's because the wheel with the weight on the inside is always going to beat the wheel with the weight on the outside, because the wheel with the weight on the outside has more of its weight away from the center of rotation. It has more rotational inertia. It makes it harder to spin, so it takes longer to get up to speed.
But it also makes it harder to stop spinning.
Exactly. Greater I, greater RKE for the yo-yo. Let's put our theory to the test. We wrap this lighter yo-yo with lead tape around the edges. So now both yo-yos have the same mass, but this yo-yo has more of its mass away from the center of rotation. That should make it sleep longer. We increase the rotational kinetic energy by increasing rotational inertia. And we did that by placing the mass at a larger radius. Better yo-yos through science. So Augie, is there an optimum diameter for a yo-yo?
Usually on 3 to 3 1/4 inches, with extra weights added to the rim for more rim weighting or just weight distributed to the outside edge.
So that's why they can sleep so long.
That's one of the reasons, but there's more to it.
More what more?
Friction.
Oh yeah, friction. In a yo-yo, friction between the string and the spindle slows down the spin, steals energy, which we don't want. So how can we cut down on friction? Well, you could try putting something slippery like oil on the string. Okay, problem is you can never get it to wake back up. Friction. Can't yo with it, you can't yo without it. Getting rid of friction is easy. You just make a spindle with ball bearings. Problem is, the string wouldn't spin the yo-yo as it falls. So one yo-yo tried making a spindle that grabs at a slight angle. You throw it at an angle, and you tug it at an angle, and the spindle grabs. And you can make adjustments to the yo-yo itself, right?
Yeah, like on this particular yo-yo, you have an adjustment knob that can add or subtract friction. So you can pretty much do whatever kind of tricks you like with it.
Oh man, it's not your grandfather's yo-yo, is it? Back in the old days, you only had like a few seconds of sleep time, right?
Definitely. The current world record's actually around 16 minutes.
That is nuts. Hey, and can't you do tricks where you take the yo-yo off the string?
Yeah, it's actually a newer style of play called off-string where you can take the string off completely.
That is so cool. I'm taking mine off. Okay guys, what did we learn?
That a yo-yo works by changing gravitational potential energy into kinetic energy.
But into two types of kinetic energy.
Translational and rotational, because of the torque provided by the string.
And to make a better yo-yo, we need to increase the rotational kinetic energy.
We do this by increasing rotational inertia.
And by moving the mass away from the center of rotation.
Hey guys, way to yo! Get it? Way to yo! Hey! Hey, that was funny! Well, that's it. We'd like to thank Augie Fash and our students, Brad, Dane, Robbie, and Grady from Horizon High School for helping us out here today on ESPN Sports Figures, Doctor of Yo-Yology. There ought to be a helmet law for these things.
Recently, Sports Center hit the road visiting 50 states in 50 days, and Sports Figures hitched a ride. We're here in Heber Springs, Arkansas for the 19th annual World Championship Cardboard Boat Races. That's right, cardboard. You provide your own power and hope it floats long enough to make the 200-yard course. Not so easy to do, but young and old alike love this race.
Lemonade stands open, y'all come on.
25 cents at a time, Tamara and Tara Payton are taking their racing hopes from the wish list to the entry list.
Our grandma, she came up with the idea that we start selling lemonade so we can start getting money to start buying the supplies.
Last year, paddling a giant cardboard brown trout, the rookie Payton girls took runner-up in the youth division. So how could a boat be made of cardboard? Corrugated cardboard was invented in the 1870s. The rippling center sheet creates columns when used in one direction and arches in the other direction, two of the strongest shapes in construction. The rules allow for waterproofing the cardboard. And it's not just kids who love this race. At Dassau Falcon Jet near Little Rock, Arkansas, Darcy Sakwar and Christopher Legatti outfit jets.
Comparing a boat to building an airplane, I'd have to say aerodynamic, sleek, trim, and fast, of course.
The key to a fast hull shape is one that parts the water smoothly and allows the water to come back together smoothly, avoiding form drag.
The speed is in the design of the hull, the light weight of the hull, and of course, it's all right here. You've got to stroke it.
The organizers of the Heber race do provide a few pointers for would-be racers, including Archimedes' principle. Buoyancy equals the weight of the water you displace, and that's a handy thing to know.
For over 10 years, ESPN has been proud to present the award-winning Sports Figures, and we want to thank all the athletes who have donated their time to help put your brain in the game. I'm Brian Kenny. Thanks for watching.
ESPN Sports Figures is presented commercial-free for educators to tape and use in the classroom.
For a free teacher's curriculum, to order the Sports Figures series, or lots of other fun stuff,
visit our website at sportsfigures.espn.com.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Sports Figures. Put your brain in the game.
The preceding program is part of Cable in the Classroom, a free service of the cable telecommunications industry and your local cable company.